Chapter 6. Lyra's Journey. The city of Blackreach sprawled beneath the twilight sky like a nest of serpents, its narrow, winding streets coiling around darkened alleys and abandoned courtyards. Shadows stretched long, cast by the flickering lanterns that barely kept the darkness at bay. Lyra Sable moved through the crowded thoroughfares with a natural ease, blending into the masses of hawkers, thieves, and beggars that made up the city's underbelly. A black hood covered her auburn hair, and her green eyes flitted from one face to another, constantly vigilant. The pendant was somewhere within the merchant's estate ahead, a stone fortress nestled amid the richer parts of Blackreach. It wasn't just any piece of jewelry. It belonged to her mother, stolen years ago during the chaos of a guild war, and now Lyra was determined to get it back. Lyra reached the high, ivy-covered walls of the estate and scaled them with practiced grace, her nimble fingers finding holds where most eyes would see only smooth stone. At the top, she crouched low, observing the grounds below. It was a maze of well-kept gardens, tall hedges, and guards patrolling in lazy loops. She had studied their patterns for days, memorizing their routes and rotations. But something was off. Two guards moved toward the west gate, an area where she'd marked none in her notes. A quick glance showed several traps had been triggered near the entry she intended to use. Her eyes narrowed. It was a setup. Lyra cursed under her breath, gripping the dagger at her side. Taro had betrayed her. Changing plans quickly, she moved to a side entrance used by servants. She slipped inside and crept through the narrow corridors, avoiding the watchful eyes of patrols and darting past doorways. She made her way up a flight of stairs, moving toward the merchant's private study. That's where the pendant would be, where it had to be. She didn't linger once she realized the pendant wasn't there. Instead, she vanished back into the streets of Blackreach, moving with purpose. Lyra found Taro in the dimly lit corner of a decrepit tavern. Half-empty mugs littered his table. She slipped into the booth across from him, her eyes cold. "Taro," she hissed, "you sold me out." The man's eyes widened, but before he could utter a word, Lyra had her dagger pressed against his thigh under the table. "Talk," she whispered, "or I make you sing." He gulped, his bravado melting away under her glare. "It wasn't personal, Lyra. The Ravens offered more than you did. They think the pendant's got some sort of power connected to the luminous gem thing." Lyra's expression darkened. "And where is it now?" "Gone," he wheezed. "Sold it to a cult north of the city. Please, Lyra, I didn't know they'd move against you so fast." Lyra pulled the blade away, her mind racing. She needed to know more about this cult and what interest they had in the pendant. Standing up, she tossed a few silver coins on the table, enough for Taro to buy himself a way out of Blackreach. "Disappear, Taro, or next time you'll find my dagger somewhere more vital." Navigating the shadow market was second nature to Lyra. She slipped through the crowded stalls and narrow pathways, where every other vendor was a fence or a smuggler, every other patron a cutthroat. It was here that she thrived, where her skills were sharpest. She made her way toward the cathedral, a crumbling edifice that now served as the Raven's lair. Lyra bypassed the market guards, using a hidden tunnel beneath a stall, emerging in the undercroft of the cathedral. She could hear the murmurs of voices and the creak of floorboards above. She crept up a disused spiral staircase, silent as a shadow, to the main hall where the Raven held court. The Raven sat upon a throne of broken pews, a wiry man with a hawk-like nose and piercing eyes. As Lyra stepped into the open, his lips curled into a knowing smile. "Ah, the fox in the henhouse. You've got nerve, Lyra Sable." "I'm not here to play games, Raven," she retorted, her dagger still in hand but pointed downward. "I know you sold the pendant. I want to know why." He laughed softly. "A little family heirloom for you, perhaps, but to others, it's a key, maybe even to the luminous gem. We made a good deal." "You're lying," she snapped, though she couldn't hide the doubt that crept into her thoughts. "Am I?" He leaned forward. "The cult's after it now. You want it back, you'll need help. We could make a deal." Lyra studied him, weighing her options. She didn't trust the Raven as far as she could throw him, but she knew he had eyes everywhere and information she needed. "I work with you, and you clear my debts." "Agreed," he said, a sly grin forming. "And in return, you bring me the pendant. I have a feeling there's more to it than either of us know." The partnership was tenuous at best, but Lyra used the time wisely, gathering intel on the cult. She watched them from a distance, noting their movements and gathering allies among the more neutral forces in Blackreach. She would be ready when the time came. In the meantime, she kept her guard up around the Raven, always expecting a knife in her back. She spent several nights wandering through the shadow market, listening to whispered rumors of the pendant's power and its ties to the mysterious the Luminaris gem. Most dismissed it as myth, but there were those who spoke with a gleam of fear in their eyes, a power that could change the world, for better or for worse. Back in her hidden loft overlooking the city, Lyra took out a small piece of her mother's pendant, a shard she kept as a reminder. Turning it over in her hand, she noticed a faint inscription along its edge. She held it up to the light, eyes widening as she read the words, "The Gate of Secrets." A shiver ran through her. She didn't know what it meant yet, but she knew one thing for certain: she couldn't stop here. Kael'drath called, and with it, the truth behind her mother's past and the Luminaris gem. The shadows of Blackreach might be all she'd ever known, but it was time to step out of them and into the unknown.